Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Southern Sports Media Racing Podcast. I'm Devin, joined by David tonight to recap the very eventful Fontana race we saw Sunday, where last year's champion Kyle Larson took the checkered flag. But that is not where the story begins on that one. We saw so much happen in that race, and what is usually relatively a calm, quiet race. I don't even know where to start this conversation because there were so many different things that happened, so many drivers up front. What was your initial reaction after they flew the checkered flag Sunday, David?
Um, Interesting. You got to go back from the very start of their first practice. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen cars just lose it like that in a long time, and that's actually exciting to think about. Exciting to watch. These drivers are having to actually wheel this thing. They're having to go out there and chase these cars. It's great. Me and Nick had a big argument Saturday about what's premier. He talked about which car is easier to drive and harder to drive. Um, but an interesting weekend, all in all, throughout both series running there. Interesting race. Uh, Interesting. Yeah, that's an understatement for this weekend. Was pessimistic about what we were going to see. Not a big fan of Auto Club, but the product itself was really good. You can't deny that.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't expecting an exciting race because Auto Club never really produces exciting racing. So as I'm sitting Sunday and watching this race unfold, the first thing that stood out to me was Tyler Reddick and Eric Jones. Who thought that them two would have dominated three-fourths of the race Sunday?
I had half of it right. I was honestly just from the beginning of the year, just this new car. I was thinking you're going to see newer drivers that you're not used to seeing up there, like actually start to dominate, and you're seeing that, and it's
Mhm.
brought what's the word, parity back into these cars. Like it's refreshing. It really is.
Yeah, and so obviously Tyler Reddick led the most laps Sunday, but ended up cutting a tire and then got door slammed from William
Yeah,
Byron. And
Byron.
yeah, last podcast it was Keselowski. This week it's Byron. But I think if he would have not had that, I think it was his race to lose. Kyle Larson, I didn't really. You can never count Kyle Larson out, I guess. But I mean, he didn't just dominate the race and walk away with it. He kind of just came up at the end and won, which takes me to this next talking point of what happened between Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott in the closing laps. We saw Logano was side by side with Kyle Larson coming down the front stretch. They were side drafting, and Larson made an abrupt move to the top, blocking Chase Elliott, and Chase Elliott hitting the wall and ultimately not being able to continue for a race win. We saw Chase Elliott was very upset, rightfully so, on the radio afterwards. And also, we saw Sunday night, I'm going to read it from my phone. Kyle Larson's spotter released a statement on Twitter saying, "Today I made a mistake. I will take full responsibility for what happened on track today. I was worried more about the 22 of Logano and not the 9 of Elliott. It was a late call on me and had nothing to do with Kyle." So, my question for you is this just the spotter's fault, or is it the driver and the spotter's fault for what happened Sunday?
All right, I'm going to cheat and just I'm going to use stuff I heard off of the great podcast, The Door Bumper Clear, from Brent Griffin. Kyle Larson runs these races all across the country throughout the year and past these years without spotters. The only time he has a spotter is when he's in a NASCAR race. So I mean, it's just as much on his spotter as it is him. He's the one in control of the car. It doesn't make it easier for. I don't know who you can tell that I like, but I mean, it doesn't make it easier for us. It still stings. Yeah, Chase was pissed. He has a right to be. But then this is the second boo boo from Tyler Moon this season. Tyler Munn,
hmm
right? Moon.
Moon on.
Yeah, the second mistake this season. You got to go back at Daytona and look at that big shot that he gave. Um, Harvick can cause that wreck, and he told me he didn't know what was in front of him. So Tyler didn't do a good job of explaining what was going on in front of him. Um, coming off of a championship year where they didn't dominate, or they dominated most of the races that they ran. So there's not many high intensity action going on. So I mean, he could kind of get away with that. So you got two mistakes coming out of the spotter in back to back racings. That's one thing that I don't think Hendrick's going to put up with. It kind of sucks for Tyler. Let's see what happens. But I mean, he's the one that tweeted itself. I shared the audio with you yesterday. It was super colorful. I mean, I can't deny that he was mad, and you can't fault him. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, you may not even hear anything come out of it internally. Hendrick may just have a meeting with the spotters, crew chiefs, and drivers behind doors, and look, this is what happened. I mean, I'm not saying Kyle Larson lied. I'm obviously, I mean, if I was running that position, I'd be concentrating on the door or the car that I'm sucked up to, and wouldn't notice that car. But then that's where you need the spotter to have your back, and he made a mistake, and it sucks. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, when that happened, I was shocked, first of all, because it happened so quick. And then I was shocked because I would realize, wait, Larson just blocked Elliott. It kind of took me, I knew something had to have happened. I knew Larson obviously didn't intentionally run Chase Elliott in the wall. Let's get
No,
that
he
straight.
didn't.
Because there's people out there on good old Twitter and Facebook in the comment section saying Kyle Larson he did not wreck his teammate intentionally. There was obviously miscommunication with the spotter, and you can say a lack of awareness because, like you brought up, Kyle Larson, when he runs these other races, dirt races, he doesn't have a spotter. So I feel like there is fault on both the spotter and the driver, and not just the spotter in this situation. How do you think this affects Elliott and Larson's relationship going forward?
I mean, I really don't know. I'd love to reach out to him and have him on here. That'd be amazing. I'd probably finger a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, Look, they're both professionals, and they both work for the same team. They both wear that Hendrick cap, so I don't think it will affect them too bad. I just think it's gonna put Tyler Moon on the radar, and he's gonna be on a shorter leash. I mean, that's something that can't happen. I mean, the run that Chase had from leading to hitting the wall, breaking, or I don't know if he broke it or bent it really bad. The was it rear tie rod link?
Hmm.
Getting that repaired, coming all the way back to trying to battle for the lead at the end. Was it 3 laps down to coming back
Yeah,
for it? I think that's honestly where the most frustration came from, is they battled their way back from that, um, just to have that happen. I mean, it was the heat of the moment. Drivers get mad, say things they probably shouldn't have to think about. But I mean, it's good to see some action. It kind of sucks it's out of the
hmm
same camp, but I really
yeah,
don't see it going too much past what happened this weekend. If it is, I would actually be very surprised.
yeah. I agree. I don't see these two. I mean, this isn't Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott. This is Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, teammates. So I don't see this being an issue. I just feel like somewhere somebody has to have a conversation, and we may never know about that. We may not know if Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott have a conversation unless they publicly
Oh
make
no,
that
they
announce.
they did.
They did?
They did. They would have to. They already said yesterday, or no, was it yesterday? It was Sunday night. Um, I think a Hendrick PR shirt. Somebody said that they were going to have a meeting Monday morning.
Yeah. Well, that's good, but at the end of the day, it's still not going to take away the frustration that Chase Elliott feels, and it's not going to take away, I guess, the guilt that Kyle Larson feels for what had happened. But now I want to transition and talk about we're going to Las Vegas this weekend, a mile and a half. Um, Not as rough of a surface as we saw this weekend. What are we expecting this weekend? Do we expect the same contenders up front? Do we expect more of an organizational top five? How do you think this weekend's going to play out?
I mean, you would want to say we'd want to see the great racing, but was this the correlation of the worn out surface in this car causing the racing the way it is? I mean, it's hard to say that we're going to see that from I mean, not to say Las Vegas is smooth, but I mean, it's a hell of a lot newer surface than Auto Club is. I mean, Auto Club's just, I mean, that place is almost trashed as a surface, which makes for great racing. I'm not calling it a bad track. Like, it makes for damn good racing. Up there with Darlington and Old Atlanta. Like, produces some of the best racing, but not with that 550 package. So you get a new package and you go back and watch, and you're like, wow, this is good. Um, as far as drivers are, honestly, who the hell knows? You have 19 drivers
Yeah.
that scored a top 10 in the first two races. That means one person has scored a top 10 twice out of two races. That is insane. But this is what NASCAR wanted when they brought that car. Like I said before, they wanted to bring parity back to the Cup Garage and evil the playing field, and God has it, and it's awesome. When the hell have you ever thought about talking about Eric Jones in the Richard Petty GMS car up there? I mean, obviously we all talked about it earlier this year that we thought Tyler Reddick was going to have a hell of a season. I didn't see him going out and dominating that race.
Mm-mm.
Um, you got all the other cars. You got to think Hemrick was running up front once he got, I mean, beginning of the race, and then after he had his shifter issue, because he qualified what, top 10? He qualified
Yeah.
top 10.
Hmm.
And then you got to look at at like Eric Jones. That blew my mind. I'm not gonna lie. And that kind of puts the fire up under Ty Gibbs, or not Ty Gibbs, Jesus, Ty Dillon,
Hmm.
uh, to get his act together. I don't know if it's more of an organizational, but if it is, I think these Toyotas may be in a little bit of a hurting for the first little bit till they get something figured out.
Yeah, that's something else I want to touch on. The Toyotas did nothing. I mean, they did not show up Sunday because going in, Kyle Busch was the favorite. He's won the most races at Fontana, and he had a horrible day from the
Yeah,
get-go. And Hamlin was never up there. Martin Truex was never up there. Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace. I mean, none of them. Kurt Busch, he ended up finishing in the top 10, but none of them performed all day. But going back to Eric Jones, I have never seen the 43 car run that good in a race since
that's
I've been watching NASCAR.
that was a hell of a drive. Like that was awesome.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
good to see it. Like it's good for a NASCAR person just to see that 43 back up front again. Like it just something that feels good about it.
yeah, I mean that's the most iconic number in racing, arguably. So you want to see the 43 car up front, and like you said, seeing that car up front made everybody feel good. But it was just shocking to me because I've never seen the 43 car be up front in my lifetime of watching NASCAR. Um,
Oh yeah, I
we
forgot.
also
You weren't around when Bobby Labonte was driving it when he went at Martinsville.
no, mm-mm. So I've never. Sunday was the first time I've seen that 43 car perform that well in a race. But we also, you mentioned 19 drivers have scored top 10s the first two races. We saw 9 different organizations finish in the top 10 just this weekend. How about Daniel Suarez? I mean, he about stole the show Sunday. He came
I
from
honestly
nowhere.
forgot about him. Like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome too.
And Chastain in his backup car, he was running in the top 10 as well. That was impressive. So going into this weekend, I mean, if you ask me who's a favorite, I'm gonna say Kyle Larson because how can you not say Kyle Larson? But who's gonna? I have no idea. Like who's gonna run up front? Who's gonna lead the most laps? It's really a toss-up because we've only had Daytona and Auto Club, and neither one of those can be applied to Las Vegas.
No,
And then we'll go to Phoenix. And so like these first 6 races, you cannot compare one track to the next.
no, it's a head scratcher. Like I'm loving it. Like as a fan, I want to see the what we've been trying to get back. All along, what the fans have wanted. They want this back into the driver's hands. They want to see who's the wheelman and who's not. Um, the thing with the Toyotas is we kept hearing overheating problem, and it was rampant. Every single Toyota was dealing with overheating problem. So I don't know if they have a block off plate in their cooling system because it's a sealed system from inlet to where it exits of the hood. They have block off plates that can shrink the size, and create less drag, and you create higher downforce. But that a lot of people are saying and thinking that they had the block off plates too small, and just with the dirty track and the way that is, a lot of sand was getting in there, clogging up the radiators and causing them to overheat. Because you didn't hear out of it from the 2311 guys, but they were both dealing with it. This is a good thing
Mm-hmm.
about doing this after other people's podcasts is you can actually talk or hear other people's thoughts, but then listen to people who are actually to it. Like listen to Freddie Kraft, Bubba Wallace's spotters, and they have their max, but then they have their absolute max temperatures, and he was saying that they were in their absolute max the entire race. Um,
Wow.
so hopefully they get that figured out. They can get Toyota up there. Like, my feelings aren't hurt, but I mean, just out of competition, you know, standpoint, I hope they get it figured out. So, I mean, who really knows what we're gonna see? Like, that's the good thing. Like, you just have to tune in to watch it to find out. And I think the ratings are in NASCAR are about to start showing that.
Definitely. So, one more thing I want to touch on. You mentioned the overheating issues. We also saw issues where if you blew a tire, you had to get towed back to pit road, losing multiple laps. And NASCAR has said they're working on some way to fix this. But wow, I mean, you blow a tire and you're 3 laps down. We can't do that the rest of the season. I mean, that has major implications for drivers.
All right, so let's just
So,
look at Auto Club. They had drivers lose 2 or 3 laps just at Auto Club. It'd take about 10 minutes for the truck to come out there, hook it up, and take it back. What's going to happen when we go to Bristol or Martinsville? You're going to be down 10 laps before that.
from a
Um,
blown tire.
yeah, from a blown tire. I mean, they said that they can't put an interliner in there, which is fine. There are systems out there that are designed for something like this. Working on cars before this, going back to the Honda Odysseys, they used to have what's called a pack system. It's a hard plastic ring that's on the inside of the rim that kind of lifts up and won't let the tire go completely down. I mean, you'll still be able to have contact, but it just won't have air in it. Like, it's only good for so long. But I mean, that's one system that comes to mind instantly that it's a possibility since you can't get another tire. Or I mean, because basically the interliner is a tire inside of a tire. So your low profile tires, you aren't able to have that. But that pack system, I mean, you can put a chunk of hard plastic in there on that rim and tire goes flat. I mean, you're still gonna feel it because it's not gonna have any stability, side to side. But it's gonna stay up and it's not gonna allow the car to drop and bottom out.
Right. And I mean, this is something that I feel like needs to be, honestly, I feel like this weekend we need to know something because the just too many implications for just a blown tire. I think it was Christopher Bell. He was running, I mean, he wasn't having a great day. Like I mentioned earlier, Toyotas didn't do that well, but he was running top 10, top 15. He spun out, blew a tire, and was 3 laps down and never recovered. So, we get to a small track like you said, and that happens. But imagine if we're, going into the playoffs, which, God forbid, this should be fixed by then, and a
Yeah, I
playoff
hope.
contender, yeah, and a playoff contender has a blown tire at Darlington race one and goes 4 laps down. I mean, there's too many implications to not fix this problem within the next few weeks.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see any fixes on the West Coast swings. I think when we come back, and what is it, Atlanta or
Yeah, Atlanta.
Atlanta's the first one on the. I think somewhere there, just because everybody's out there still. I'm pretty sure, and everybody keeps talking like NASCAR is aware of it, and they're working on issues to solve it. So hopefully by the Atlanta, we'll see something. Um, like I said, I really don't see anything happening before then, but I hope it does happen fast because that's not good. Like a little
Mm-mm.
simple spin, to save yourself, and you just happen to stop. Well, now there goes 2 3 laps. Not to mention, some of these cars have actually been damaged by those hooks. Ripping up on the fenders. I think Keselowski was talking about it after the race. His car was actually got damaged from just getting towed back with those straps because it goes up and around the tire or up on the the tires the spokes up around the fenders and it's just pushing those fenders in. So now you got to think, all right, they're gonna tow me back. They're gonna damage my car on doing it too.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess right now, and it was kind of, I guess, an eyesore Sunday for maybe a new fan watching, and they're like, they see this happen, and they're like, well, you know, that's not good, obviously, that they
Yeah.
just blew a tire and now they're 3 laps down. So we missed our race picks last week. So now I'm going to ask, who do you have winning this weekend at Las Vegas?
Let's go with Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, good pick.
yeah, I bet you like that pick.
Great
Um,
pick. If his pit crew's doing well, he might win the race this weekend.
you were listening to that, right? Like, they were having issues with the right rear the entire race.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, it's just swap out a gun, or maybe it was just the the nut itself. The nut itself, it's that's part of the spindle. So I mean, you putting the aluminum wheels on and off on a steel hub. I mean, it can start rubbing and scraping off chunks of aluminum, and it'll kind of gunk up that those threads and create an issue with the tire actually getting tight. But I think Ryan Blaney's a safe pick. He's proved that he's had speed on both tracks or both styles of tracks. He's got a hot rod. I don't know what color his car is going to be this weekend, but I mean that Worth car was actually really pretty.
Yeah, I did like that paint scheme this past weekend.
Well, let me text
I'm good.
Nick while you get yours.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick Blaney's teammate, not the one who won the 500, Joey Logano, to win this weekend at Las Vegas. Joey's had some good success at Vegas, and he's been running well this season. He was in the midst of the battle Sunday at Fontana, so I'm going with Joey Logano this weekend for the win. And now we'll see what Nick has to say.
Yeah, we'll kill some time as I'm blowing his stuff up. So he had to actually go into work. So it's kind of sucks. He had to go. I had to go make some money. What happened to Cindric? Like, you want to talk about that? Like, he started up front and then just parachute. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I didn't expect, this sounds kind of bad. I didn't expect Cindric to like run in the top five this weekend. I know he won the 500, but that's a whole different beast. But I get Blaney and Logano were running up front, so it's kind of odd that he didn't. But no experience at that track. Well, nobody has experience at that track in that car. But
Can
I
can you
just
read what he put?
no, it's blurry.
Oh, Blaney.
Everybody jumped on the Blaney train this week. Now watch, the week I don't choose him to win, he'll actually win the race. But all right, so we got two Blaneys and a Logano, so we're expecting Team Penske to show up this weekend out west at Vegas.
I, yeah, yeah. I mean, you had some Fords up there this past weekend, but I don't know. I just see them. He's been strong there in every car he's had there at Vegas. So and he just hadn't been able to pull it off. Um, it's hard not to like Blaney sometimes.
Yeah, I'm I don't know, his just demeanor is is chill. He's always relaxed until he's not. Because I remember, I think it was 2017 at Martinsville when him and Harvick got into it. I was like the first time I've seen Ryan Blaney mad, and I was like, hmm. Because I used to be a Earnhardt Jr. fan, and their personalities somewhat mirror each other. Because Dale Jr. was a pretty mellow guy. You never really saw him get upset, except a few times he did get upset. Um, so Blaney, he's a cool guy, calm demeanor, and he's a really good race car driver. So it's hard, like you said, it's hard to not like Ryan Blaney.
So which version of Blaney do you like? Do you like caveman Blaney with the big bushy beard, or do you like short hair, clean shaven Blaney?
It doesn't really matter to me. All I care about is how he performs on the track. Um, you can ask his significant other what she thinks about that. I'm sure she'll give you a
True,
pretty
true.
solid answer.
All right, so that's about to wrap it up. But one thing we wanted to, or I wanted to bring up and talk about, like people on Facebook, people on social media, chill out. Like it's racing, mistakes happen. I mean, watch short track racing. Like, yeah, I was pissed because I'm obviously a Chase fan. I can't hide it. I got his big old head over there to cut out in my room. Like, come on, like it's just people blow my mind. Like it's kind of crazy to think about that we live in a time where the keyboard warriors are out there just bashing anybody and everybody they can. I mean, mistakes are happening. Everybody's human. Like, yeah, I was mad, but guess what? It's got 34 more races to go. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if this was Martinsville or Phoenix at the end of the season, okay, all right, I can understand the anger either way, but I guess I could understand it more so if it was them. But it's race two of the season. I mean, we got a whole season to go, and people are already. I mean, NASCAR fans are toxic. I'm gonna say it. NASCAR
Yeah,
fans are
they
toxic,
they are. I
and
don't think they're as toxic as other sports, but I mean, because I don't follow. I mean, I watch baseball. I don't follow their fans much, but football fans are god awful.
no offense to you, Chase Elliott fans are toxic,
Oh
and
yeah, I'm not denying that. There's like
and
you got to think like majority of juniors fans just migrated over and like he likes this dude, we
mhm.
like this dude, and that whole mindset of them like it is mind boggling how psychotic some of these people are.
Mhm.
And unstable some of them are. Like, you're not calling everybody out there unstable, but you know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, I went to the Roval last October when Harvick got into Elliott, and I was sitting turn one grandstands, and there was a group of Elliott fans to my upper right, and then there was a group of Harvick fans kind of like down here in front of them, and then there was just a mix of other people. But when that happened, I mean, the Elliott fans were sloshing beer when Elliott no, when he didn't retaliate, when Harvick hit the wall by himself, overdrive turn one, they were sloshing beer. It got all over me and people I was sitting with. I mean, they were yelling, they were going crazy. Chase Elliott fans don't mess around. And it goes back to the idea Chase Elliott is a polarizing figure, an idol in the sport. And just like with any other sport, the idol, the most popular player, most popular driver, if something happens to them that fans don't like, they're going to take it out on everybody else. So it's the dynamic is hilarious to watch though. It's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's crazy seeing the rejuvenation of the crazy junior fans from back in the day. Like it's kind of bringing back old memories, not good ones, but it's still wow. Um, but on the Vegas, I don't ever remember saying that I've been excited about mile and a halfs, but I'm just excited to see what we got. Like I'm not excited to see if what we had last week was like I said earlier at the beginning of the show. If this is just was that just a track service and car combination, or is this what we're gonna see? Because those cars could run pretty close to each other and not lose the nose.
Hmm.
So that's been accomplished. Like we've already see that. So that's been accomplished. Now we just got to see if it's gonna transfer over to a track that has more grip, so they would carry more speed at the turns, and if that's gonna actually show up more.
Yeah,
Just have to wait to tune in and find out.
I'm definitely looking forward to Sunday's race. And I wasn't looking forward to this past Sunday's race. I mean, it was Fontana, but now after this weekend, I'm like, okay, well, you really don't know what's going to happen
Now
because
I was tuning in to watch the last 2 mile Fontana race, and then they just announced after the damn race that all those plans to turn it into a short track are on hold. So I'm a little aggravated about that. Look, like the track put on great racing. It obviously did. So I don't know if NASCAR's going to reevaluate if they need to bring in just a whole new track out there. If they just need to go build one, I mean, they sure as hell got the money. They just dropped a good chunk of change on just turning the LA Coliseum into a track for an exhibition race. They can drop the money just to pop open one, or Burton Smith will beat them to the punch and put one out there.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with Auto Club going forward. Whether they turn it into a high bank half mile or they leave it as a worn out 2 mile oval. But anyways, well, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. And if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe below.
Somewhere down there,